Hey, it's been a hot minute. Welcome back to I am redesigning my characters again. I don't redesign my characters as often as that implies, but every few years something clicks in my brain. So, for context, these are old Homestuck OCs, which is why I cannot give up Classpects for this story, honestly. There's something about Classpects that really just click in my brain and I really, really enjoy them. So the only thing I've taken from Homestuck and kept within my story is the fact that the first era, which I will be referring to 3 eras, Era 1 is the old gods, as in the very first session that ended the Earth and created the new planet Vitirs, which is the planet everything happens on. So, Void. I am talking Void this video. Obviously I have a bunch of references up. I played a lot of Twilight Princess as a kid, and every time I've had Hello, which is this character, it is spelled H-E-L-L-L-O, because he does not like doing things in 2s or 4s, he only does them in 3s. So every time I would redesign Hello, this character that I'm drawing right now, I always had the image of Zant in the back of my mind, because this character is very, childish, in a sense. He's not a child, he is billions of years old, as are the rest of the gods, honestly. But he just has a very childish, immature mindset. So if he does something and it doesn't go his way, or you end up interrupting it somehow, he's the type to, stomp his foot and then kill you for it. Can I say that? Can I say that on you? Whatever. Anyway, so he's just a really immature god because of his banishment, where he ended up just alone in the void for, I would say eternity, but he's out now, so it doesn't really count, you know? So, as I mentioned, these used to be Homestuck OCs, which is why there is yellow still sprinkled into these designs, because the dark blue for Void is, it's a nice blue. I like it. And I think putting in, the gold or yellow with it makes it pop, honestly. I don't know how to describe it. I'm a little tired. But these characters used to be gold bloods, so I decided to keep the yellow in their designs, because I just couldn't really let it go. I love yellow, my favorite color, honestly, but that is also an explanation. So I took a lot of inspiration from the Tweely, which is why there's a bunch on the right side of the screen, and also Anglerfish and Zora, specifically from Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, because, I don't know, something about the fish head like that is just what I was really going for. And as I blot in the color here, you'll see that there is a much lighter blue on the above the colors I'm actually using. Those are the official Void colors. To me, they're too bright, and I wanted to use darker blues for it to work. Again, the only thing I've used is, this is a world that had a successful session, and they recreated, they made a new planet. And the only other thing I've kept is that Classpects are the power system that I have going, because I like Classpects a lot. So, Hello is a Mage of Void. He still has psychic powers. Psychic powers are still a thing in this universe, and it is because the Mind God, Lapars, granted psychic powers to Hello, and a couple other people, but they are different types. I will go more into detail on psychic types and psionics, I suppose, in Jusky's video, because they are a researcher into a lot of psychic things, and I think it would be more appropriate there. But all of these characters do have psychic things. And Hello was granted the psychic powers because he was alone in the void, because anyone else who tried getting near it would get void touched, which is another thing that is relevant, but not super, dangerous or anything, really. It just corrupts limbs, people, honestly everything, but Hello is untouched because he is a born of the void, technically, because he is a void aspect wielder. How's it? Okay. Middle one, how's it broski? By the way, their last names are Broski. Like, for real. Howzit is the second era. That is why they are in the middle. So left is always first era, middle is the second era, and then on the right is usually the third era. Although there are a few that have been drawn to skip the second era. I will go more into detail on that later. But for here, there is 3 eras. And at first I was struggling, and I was like, how do I make this weird cape layered piece shirt work properly? Then I was like, oh, I know who did it better. Since I'm already drawing inspiration from the Twilly, I might as well draw with reference of Midna, because her design slaps, by the way. Big fan, big fan. Anyway, Howzit, they're not like a dress person, or really like, they'll wear a skirt, but they're not like super fond of it really. Really like depends on the day. But they're a big fan of robes, so this still applies. I think a lot about how characters interact with their own clothes a lot. Like, will they get too hot? Would they prefer to be colder? Or what do they like? Would they prefer to have their leg out like that? Do they like socks? Do they not like socks? Would they prefer shoes over boots? Stuff like that. So I put a lot of thought into how each character wears their own outfits. And will it kill me in the end? Probably. But I think that's fine. I like thinking about how they interact with the world and, you know, their own outfits and everything. So, Howzit middle era? The middle era, the second era, was meant to save the world, basically. They were supposed to fix everything. So the first era, all the gods and everything, they've all been corrupted at this point, and the universe is failing. So the middle era was supposed to fix everything. They were supposed to be the ones that activated everything and fixed the world. But the problem is they didn't have every aspect to help them out. There's about 4 to 6 missing aspects that they needed to help save the world. But they don't have that. So they had to do a couple little workarounds to figure that out. Specifics on Howzit is that they are like directly related to What Up, Broski, which is the little guy on the right. They're also a thief of void, for reference. Hello is billions of years old, and Howzit is a descendant of him, but What Up is a direct descendant of Howzit. So the implication is that it's supposed to be a billion years or whatever, however many years, just a long time between Era 1 and Era 2, and then Era 2 has little to no gap between Era 3. It is basically like a next generation type deal, you know? So I put a lot of panels on each outfit, and for each I also gave little beads. So if you notice on Hello's, he's got one little bead on the front piece of the little piece of fabric flowing off him. Howzit has 2 beads on 2 separate ones on their outfit. They're also wearing a clock hand to piece their outfit together because they are in love with a time player. Of course, they can't really see that time player anymore because their job is to literally keep the void from destroying the planet. They entered the void, and because they are a thief of void, they can bring in the void closer to themselves. So the void started to trickle out and leave holes in the planet, and Howzit gave up their life. They're not dead, but they gave up their life to enter the void, which they cannot be touched by because they are a void aspect holder, to stop the planet from literally being eaten inside and out from the void. And the time player also had to do a similar thing, but it's a little different. Howzit at least got to enter the void and stays there with another character, but she'll be brought up later. So I kept a lot of eye motifs in these designs because I just think they're neat, and also it is relevant to the entire void means nothing but also anything, and you feel like you see nothing in there, but these guys would see stuff. You know what I mean? What up? What up, what up, what up? He's blind, which is why his eyes are covered up. He has veins, like the veins around his shoulders, and there are scars on his head are psi scars, which are scars that are from psychic powers from his overuse of them that almost killed him. His design I had no reference for. Like, I didn't use any reference. I just looked at the previous two, and I was like, okay. And then I just went based on what I think he would have. And he would like sleeves, but he gets a lot of hot and cold flashes, and I put it into the design where he can wrap himself in the panel pieces if he needs to, as they act like a blanket, and he usually wears a blanket. And then I put an eye on his chest, and on the back he has a void symbol, just to really nail home the fact that he's a void player. I think that's all the time I have for this video. I try not to over-explain everything, so that there's still something to them that isn't just, hey, here's what happens in the story, and now nobody wants to read it because you don't need to see the arc happen. Hope you enjoyed watching anyways. See ya.